All right. Hello, guys. This is Chrono Knight here, competitive Chaos Galaxy player. Coming here to give you my second place deck profile for the recent tournament, the Holiday Bash tournament, which is the last one of this year, 2023. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of show you guys my thought process and some of my card picks to help me get to the grand finals. All right. So first off, with the name of the deck, I call it Tempo MC. MC standing for Mind Control. Controversial, but some people refer to it as SINDELL MC, arguing that it doesn't have the same, exact play style as Tempo would and things of that nature. But I'm willing to argue about that. So let me know in the comments how you guys feel about that. So yeah, let's get into the deck profile. First off, let's start with the Skelly package. Starting off with the main man, Skelly Gast, who is really useful in bringing back your Sindel creatures and getting a lot of your two creature boards set up. Skelly Gast obviously pairs really well with Skella Queen. 400 points, really big for swinging over stuff, but also getting a nice face damage. So when used well, this could be somewhere between 4 to 6 points in a swing. Um, so yeah, and then next, so let's move over to Bombik and Waku Man. So I decided to run two Bombik and two Waku. My thought process was that Bombik was really good as like a toolbox starter. So really just really getting a lot of the setup going. So for example, if I needed to draw a card, I would send Waku to the grave. If I needed to get some stars, I would send Diabolus to the grave. If I wanted to set up my gas combo, if I'm missing one of the pieces, I would send gas or send queen, depending on what I needed. So Bombik really paid off, and I was happy to have it at two instead of one. So I was glad with that choice. Next, let's talk about the sword and Diabolus ratio. So my thought process around Diabolus was that I never felt like I should or would want to mill twice with the four card mill from the ability. I felt like that was always like overkill or could really disrupt the strategy within this deck. So I was really happy to have it at one, and it performed well with what I needed it to do. A lot of times I was really sending it with Bombik to kind of get a boost in star advantage. Because whenever I drew it or had it in hand, it was mainly to hold it until I was willing to like mill for something specific, right? So if I draw it, it's really like middle game to late game where I'm holding it after maybe I have a few more of the staples that we'll go over. And then I was happy with milling. Having the two sword, I decided to just add a second sword because I couldn't add a second gas, obviously, because it's limited. So adding a second sword kept the Sindel ratio decent enough to justify Bone Ladder. And also, it wasn't just a bad card to have. Sword is really good about killing their opponent's beast or warriors. So I was okay with having to get two instead of having Diabolus at two. So it was an interesting choice, and it ended up paying off in this tournament. Um, Having two dog was really good. One thing I was really happy with about this deck was how efficiently I set up um, three zone boards, three creature zone, three battle zone using Beast. And a lot of times I was able to punish players who did Galaxy Crash too early. And then follow up with three creature boards that were like even more harder to break, and really got in for some damage and kind of overwhelmed my opponent. So the deck had really good synergy with Dog and then Bone Ladder and Gast and Queen, or Dog, Bone Ladder, Gast and Sword, and just really putting on the pressure. All right. Next, let's get into some of the staple choices. Obviously, Galaxy Crash, I think it was really good in breaking boards and helping me use my revival abilities to get in some face damage. So I was really happy with Galaxy Crash, obviously. Spoons was really good for setting up, getting a card in hand, going +1, but also, getting things set up for Bone Ladder so I can get my recursion going. Double Abomination Tomb, obviously, for getting things back and getting things set up. A lot of times, Bone was either flexed for the gas combo, or if I needed a pretty much like a second Behe, if that makes sense, right? So I play one Behe, and then depending on the game state, I would revive it so I could swing over something big. So double a bomb tomb definitely paid off. Phantom Matter because it's just really a good card. The one KO, which I was very, very happy with this tournament. So my thought process in bringing it was that maybe I would run into like a Roka deck or Polysium deck, or even the most common, or I'm sorry, the best deck in format, arguably, APC, which has some big stuff in it. It would pay off to have KO, just to kind of efficiently clear things and take some of the pressure off of Behe and other forms of removal. For sales time was really huge this tournament. Um, a lot of times I would have an extra zone set up, and then this was like a way of clearing their board and also making it awkward for them to use their star economy, right? So I'm stealing stuff, and then they're having to think about, do I really want to pay the stars to get it back, or do I just kill it? And in the meantime, I'm swinging for face to get some points in. So this paired really well with the play style in my deck. Obviously, double AAA, one beast, one turret, one planetary field. Just kind of like the trifecta for activators. All right, now let's get into the spiciness, right? I'm sure some people are wondering, like, what is he doing with Kabonk Battle Body and Deep Space? This is the mind control package that I included in. So let's take a look at Kabonk Battle Body, which says the attached creature becomes SINDELL, and then it also gains 30 power and health for every different planet it comes from. So this was really powerful because not only am I stealing a card from my opponent with this 2-card combo, but I'm also getting a power boost. So on their turn, it's a lot difficult for them to swing over and kill it. While at the same time, I'm getting a boost. And sometimes that plus 60 in power was a difference of me getting an extra point, which was pretty huge. So for example, if I steal an opponent's Behe, the power goes to 550. So instead of swinging for 5 points, now it swings for 6 points. And it's more durable because the health will go up to 360. So really happy with how this package panned out. And another reason that I felt good in justifying these 4 cards was that I could use them separate from one another, so they're not dependent on me having both in hand, right? So for example, let's take a look at Lighthouse. A lot of decks are obviously running Pelfam as a staple or Diabolus to get some of their combos set up. And so just having Lighthouse allowed me to just have like a free snatch steal and take their card and get in some quick damage with both of them swinging for 3, or allowing me to clear an aspect of their board so I could get an advantage. And then on the other hand, if I had Battle Body without Lighthouse and just Battle Body in hand, sometimes I would use it offensively. So I would attach it to like my dog, for example. So now dog is at 320, 320, and it swings over other dogs without crashing into it, and also could kill their opposing Diabolus or even their Pelfam at 300 health. So really, really happy with how this package paid off. And I think this really pushed the limits of SINDELL. And I'm excited to see how SINDELL evolves over time. So yeah, this next card was honestly kind of like a roll of dice type of card. I wanted to test it out for this tournament and see how it really panned out. I felt like I was getting hit with a lot of creature abilities. To be honest, now that I reflect on the tournament, I probably only used it maybe, I would say, like 20 to 30% utility. The most common interaction was that they would play their Avalanche Overlord to break my Gas and Queen combo, because Gas is 400 power. So Avalanche would kill it, and then I would respond with this to kill their Avalanche, which paid off a couple times. But I don't think it was enough interaction to justify keeping it. So spoiler alert, I do have a third version. This is actually the second version of this type of strategy that I created or put together for a deck. And I took this card out. So but what I will say about this card is I'm interested to see how things cook up if it was used in more of an offensive type. Because if you look at the ability, it says when a SINDELL creature on your planet is killed by a card ability, not just like your opponent's ability, then kill one card on their planet. So this might have some utility as far as like clearing permanent resources, or maybe you time flash your own thing revive it somehow, and now you get a free pop on their side, right? You could kill one of their cards. Um, so yeah, I took it out for now moving forward, but could see this coming back depending on how the format develops. Next is Erratic Void. I think this card is a staple nowadays. I think every deck has some form of powerful free play, whether that's from the grave or using some form of a two-card combo to get a big creature out. And I think Erratic Void does a really good job of like disrupting some of those strategies, whether it's a Polysium ability of playing a small one and bringing out a big guy, or any type of Soul Strom things that are bringing back some big stuff. Erratic Void paid off every time I drew it, and I was happy to have it in my hand. So I really recommend folks main decking this card moving forward. Next, I have Sheozian Lava Behemoth, which was obviously a really good card. I was happy with it at one. It really helped me, break through some of those big, powerful creatures like Serp, and also remove a resource zone, just putting my opponent in a very awkward position defensively. So I was always happy to have it. And like I said before, flexing it, as an Abomination Tomb target paid off. I never felt like I needed to have the second one, though moving forward, I may play around with that ratio a little bit. And then last but not least, the main guy, the big guy himself, Pale Fam, arguably the ace of the deck. I think whenever I play Pale Fam, it really pushed me to get a lot of advantage. And it always correlated to me getting some points. So I was really happy with that. Okay. So that's overall how the deck went. As far as some of the matchups that I faced Teklar mid range, which I didn't have too much trouble against. I faced a weird variant. One of the players, top players, brought a like troll variation of some deck, um, and I was able to kind of plow through that with not too much trouble. I also faced Gaios Mind Control, and ironically, I feel like this deck out mind controlled that deck, and I think that's saying a lot. Um, I believe the issue with Gaios Mind Control, especially into a deck like this, is converting the steals into point advantage. Because a lot of times, if my board is clear, they don't have as many ways to like get things going and get damage in without stealing something big that I already have on the board. Whereas vice versa, I feel like if I'm stealing stuff, I'm converting for a significant point advantage. So a lot of times they're committing two or more cards to, break some of my boards or steal things, but not really getting the points for it. So, yeah, definitely had a solid matchup against Guys Mind Control. And then lastly, I faced APC. Really grindy game, a hard fought 2-1 to get me into the grand finals. And they ended up facing it again in the finals and unfortunately losing. But in my opinion, I think it's the best deck in format, and I think it has a strong enough matchup into me to make it very, very difficult, especially if I don't draw things well. Um, so yeah, that's the deck profile. Overall, I was extremely happy with how things played out and my performance overall. And looking forward to what new iterations of this deck will be, especially with the new Planetary Collection coming out and seeing how the format evolves. But super happy with how this deck turned out. And then before we wrap up, let's look at the sideboard. So first off, let's look at Galdor's box. I'm sure some people are like, what the heck? Last tournament, I faced Zemius, and my deck was not prepared. So Zemius was out of popularity for a long time. And by the time it came back for that previous tournament, a lot of people kind of stopped siding for it as much. Or maybe it was just me. I particularly just didn't side for it. And when I faced it, I couldn't go too long in the grind game. When it gets to like the super controlly style of double rewind wormhole and Zemius officially being set up, it could be quite a bit of pressure to deal with. So I sided this. And it also kind of paid off a little bit against some Soulstrom variants because you can kind of break the number of planets they have in Grave. It wasn't as impactful. But overall, I'm still happy I brought it because I didn't want to just auto lose to that matchup. Next, we'll talk about Shockwave 8. So I was expecting maybe some Polysium variants or just any decks that kind of really lean into the heavier creatures. And so Shockwave 8 was just really good to have to kind of clear things efficiently, and really help me get some damage because, the deck could really struggle against high health stuff. And I rely on a lot of tactical forms of removal. So I didn't want to put so much pressure on Behe or KO, for example, just to clear some boards. And the same thing can be said for Avalanche Overlord. Like I said, with a lot of people leaning towards 400 or more health creatures, Avalanche was really cool with like coming down, breaking stuff, and then like swinging for face. So it paid off. Crow Comet, ironically, was like a counter pick because I was imagining like, what if someone brings Galdor's box against my type of strategy. And also because of Xemius performing decently in the previous tournament, I feel like more people were gonna bring Galdor's box in general. And I would be kind of like a drive-by hit, like, oh, it's also good against Sindel. So I brought Karat Comet. I didn't run into anyone using box. However, it did pay off in like breaking a couple Abomination Tombs and Phantom Matters. So even when I sided it in, it wasn't just like a complete break. So I was still happy that I brought it. Obviously, Abandonment, like I said, a lot of social variants are running around with like different planet types. My deck more so relies on mono planet, so just like a singular planet type. So Abandonment is always going to be good in that situation as a side deck card. And then lastly, for this last slot, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to bring. Um, and I ultimately ended up landing on Space Pit. I was just thinking about respecting solo aggro, for example, in an event that brings solo down. A lot of times you don't necessarily want to kill it. You want to shuffle it back into deck, so it's harder for them to get their hands on it. And then in the off chance that I face a mirror matchup, I could also shuffle in my opponent's Skelligast. So it was a solid pick for me. It didn't come up this tournament, but glad I brought it. So yeah, overall, that is my deck profile for Tempo MC, second place. And if you guys like this type of video, let me know. Also, you should go follow Chaos Galaxy TCG. And a huge shout out to Zach for all the work he puts into this game, bringing his artwork and his passion to life. And I'm just super happy to be a part of this community and just having some fun playing the game. And I'm looking forward to the new cards that are dropping. And also, if you want to join the community, join our Discord. And look forward to potentially seeing you in some games. So, yeah, see you guys on the next one.